Evening. My name is Bill Murphy, Public Information Officer on the Thomas Fire. As many of you may know, it's been a very long, challenging day on the incident. We're here this evening to provide you with an operational update on the fire. I'm going to ask that you please hold all of your questions until the end. I'd now like to turn it over to Operations Section Chief, Chief Mark Lorenzen from Ventura County Fire Department would like to provide a brief statement.
Good evening again. Mark Lorenzen, Fire Chief, Ventura County Fire Department. As firefighters, we come to work every day and we understand the risks, and we all hope that we never end up with what happened today. As a community, we collectively reach out and express our heartfelt condolences to the Iverson family. And we mourn the loss of our fellow brother, Corey Iverson, engineer with CAL FIRE. We are truly saddened and heartbroken at the loss of our brother. And again, our thoughts and sympathies go to the family and our brothers and sisters in CAL FIRE.
Thank you, Chief. Operations Section Chief Mark Brown will provide an operational update on the fire.
Good evening. It's obviously been a very challenging day for us, but there was still a fire that we had to fight, and there were challenges above and beyond the incident that we had. First thing in the morning, we did have a significant increase in fire behavior above Fillmore, which prompted us to not lift the evacuation orders that we were about to lift in Fillmore. That fire is still challenging in that area. It's moving towards the Sespe drainage, and we're very concerned about where that fire is going, and getting into terrain is going to be difficult for us. So we do have crews on site working indirect so that we can cut off the fire from moving down the Sespe drainage and into the town of Fillmore. Moving up into the northern portion of the fire in Rose Valley was another challenge for us today. The fire was starting to outpace us in that region as well. We had a firing plan that was already approved. We already had the resources in place to implement the firing plan, and the firefighters are currently conducting that firing plan now. We had several challenges before and after the firing plan, but as of now, those challenges have been mitigated, and our confidence level is higher than it was earlier today for that region. Moving over into Santa Barbara County, the piece of fire in the front country above Montecito, Carpinteria, and Santa Barbara City. Our plan is working fairly well. The weather has been cooperating. We were not able to fly any fixed-wing aircraft in there, but we were able to fly rotor wing most of the day and using the mobile retardant plant that we have in Santa Barbara. The terrain is just terribly difficult. And last night I discussed a Plan A and a Plan B. Plan A was to stop the fire in its tracks where it's at. Plan B was to allow it to simply march slowly across the landscape. We're doing a little bit of a combination between A and B. The bottom portion of it, we are holding it where it's at, and we are using crews right on the fire's edge. However, for the top piece. However, we are going to have to let a little bit of it move because we're getting into slides, into cliffs where we simply cannot put any firefighters. We've checked the fire with retardant, but if you don't have firefighters go in after that, it's just going to slowly chew through that retardant. So we do have those plans in place. And then last night I talked about Plan C, and that was a larger firing operation. And at this time, we don't anticipate that happening. However, if the need arises, we will implement that plan, and we do have resources in place to implement that plan as safely as we can. And hopping over the Camino Cielo Ridge and into the Santa Ynez drainage, we have numerous resources working in there, and that is where we were able to work our fixed-wing aircraft. And we're using forest roads in that area to limit the fire spread to the west, especially in anticipation for weather that we have coming. Thank you.
Good evening. Rich Thompson, Incident Meteorologist with the National Weather Service. First, an update on our fire weather headlines. There still is a red flag warning in effect for Ventura County until 10 a.m. Friday morning. Additionally, we have just issued this afternoon a fire weather watch for late Friday night through Saturday evening for the Santa Barbara County Mountains, and also a fire weather watch for the Ventura County from late Saturday night through Sunday evening. Those are the current headlines we have for related to fire weather. Forecast-wise, for the next couple of days, it's going to be a very challenging forecast across the fire due to changing winds. Late tonight and tomorrow morning, we're going to have another round of weak Santa Ana winds across the fire, generally guessing probably 15 to 25 miles per hour. Those winds will again shift to a more west-northwesterly direction during the day tomorrow, and then by tomorrow evening, we'll start those winds switch around again to the north and northeast. And looking for late tomorrow night into through Saturday, looking for the possibility of some pretty gusty north winds across Santa Barbara County. Probably looking ridgetop winds in the mountains, generally gusting between 25 and 35 miles per hour late Friday night into Saturday. Then by Saturday night and Sunday, we switch around to a more Santa Ana wind pattern with potential for wind gusts between 30 and 45 miles per hour across the fire late Saturday night and Sunday. With those gusty winds, also conditions remain very dry. We still have relative humidities in the single digits, and recoveries at night are still going to be very poor. So it's a horrible combination of critical fire weather conditions that we expect to continue to cross the area through the weekend.
My name is Tim Chavez. I serve as a fire behavior analyst for Incident Management Team 4. You heard the weather summary, and we also consider the fuels that are burning. When fuels have moisture, they tend to slow the spread of a fire. But however, in this situation, every day that goes by, I think we're up to 251 days since there's been a tenth of an inch of rain or more in this area. So every day that goes by, the fuels get drier and drier and drier. Every measurement that we use to measure fuel dryness and the amount of energy that's available in the fuels keeps going up, up, and up. That makes what we call resistance to control very high. So we have really high resistance to the control. We have really bad weather coming. So it's going to be a very challenging few days.
Good evening. Todd Durham, Incident Commander, assigned to the incident as a unified commander. Just a couple updates for the evening. Our acreage is 249,500, 35% containment. Our cost to date is $82 million, and our incident population, the number of firefighters that are here from across the country, is just over 8,300. As mentioned earlier, we are extremely, extremely saddened from this unfortunate situation that has occurred today. It truly underscores the importance of what we do, and it's a sad and sobering reminder of just how dangerous our job is and the importance of evacuations and being prepared in event of a fire. We'll be available for more questions later, but I do want to assure everybody that the San Diego unit where Engineer Iverson works from is in contact with his family, along with our labor groups. Our department has a serious accident review team that is en route to review the details, and we'll have more information in the days to come, but we ask that you all just focus your gaze for a moment to the seriousness of the business that we're in and the understanding and thoughts and prayers that we should be sending to the families. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now open it up for any questions.
Can you give us some idea of the circumstances surrounding Engineer Iverson's death?
As Chief Durham just mentioned, there's a process that we're going to go through. A serious accident review team has been assigned. A fact-finding process will be conducted. Out of respect to Corey and his family, we're not going to release many of the details until that fact-finding process has been completed. I can tell you it occurred in an area of the fire north of the town of Fillmore.
And then there was a procession that led from that site here to Ventura. Can you describe that procession?
The procession did occur. I can't provide any other details on the procession other than he was taken to the hospital.
This stretch
Oh, he was not. Forgive me. He was not at that scene. He was transported to a hospital.
No, he was taken there by the medical examiner.
Oh, I'm sorry. This stretch above Fillmore has been pretty tough for you guys. And it seems like we're always about to turn the corner on this stretch above Fillmore, and then something changes. Can you describe what is changing above Fillmore? Is it the winds? Is it the topography? Why is this such a tough spot?
Why is Fillmore so tough? It's why is this entire fire so tough, and it really ties into the wind or the weather. 251 days since rain, the resistance to control, our energy release components being at historical highs, and the terrain being extremely steep. We've done everything we can to go direct and hold that fire as small as we can. And we've looked for opportunities to go to what we call indirect, and they have not been successful. And as of yesterday, we felt we had turned that corner, and that resistance to control outdid us. And that's why we are falling back a little bit further, and we're going to be constructing a more indirect line at our pace, so that we could do it ahead of any spread of the fire and keep the community feel more safe.
I think it probably goes without saying that it was a bit of a surprise the way those conditions existed this morning compared to what the forecast was, and we thought we were going to be able to lift evacuations. At what point did we realize that this place in Fillmore was going to be as incendiary as it was?
I wouldn't say the conditions were a surprise. We knew what the weather conditions were, we knew what the fuel conditions were, and we knew what the terrain was. We had anticipated that we were going to be successful in that area. So yes, the fact that we were not is a bit of a surprise. When did we know it was going to be a problem? Prior to our morning briefing, and our morning briefing's at 7 o'clock in the morning. We saw the increase in fire behavior between 6 and 7 a.m. We communicated that with the local officials through our liaison's office that we would not be able to lift the evacuations.
You said if the heat rises, you can go to Plan C above Montecito. What would have to happen for you guys to go to Plan C?
Well, there is no, I'll repeat the question. He was asking what it would take for us to go to Plan C above Montecito and Santa Barbara rather than letting it slowly go across. It's not a line in the sand type decision. It's a mix of variables. As long as we're continuing to be successful and that weather is not threatening us to the degree that we're concerned about it, then we'll stick with that plan. But if our percentage of success drops dramatically and we see that we have a particular window to do the firing operation prior to the arrival of wind, that's what will drive that decision.
Can you describe for us, with the winds coming up this weekend, what is the fire behavior we're anticipating on this northwest flank?
Would you like to handle that one?
I don't think you're going to see anything different than what's been going on the last 10 days. I mean, it's possible we could have a long-distance run. It's possible we could have long-distance spotting, high-intensity fire behavior when it runs uphill. I don't anticipate really any change of anything that's happened in the last 10 days.
So we're not expecting a sundowner push out of the mountains toward the coast of
I believe we are.
All right, we'll describe that. What are we preparing for?
Long-distance run, high-intensity runs, long-distance spotting. That's what we're anticipating.
That being the case, forgive me, I'm still unclear then. Why don't we proceed with Plan C while we can before those rains begin?
I'll let the ops chief talk about that.
It's a very good question. Why aren't we doing that? Because we are balancing risk, and putting fire on the ground, even if it's under our best of conditions, is increasing risk. And especially with the potential sundowners coming, it could be the fire that we put on the ground that creates our greatest problem. So it really is a balance of risk for us right now. And the tables are tilting for us right now that we feel the best balance is to not fire.
And tomorrow evening is point of no return then? That's when we anticipate the sundowners could begin?
I wouldn't call it a point of no return, but it is a threshold.
And I'd like to just address one more thing. You mentioned the procession that occurred. Corey was transported to the medical examiner's office in a procession, and that's a process by which we honor his service. And he was escorted to the medical examiner's office by his brother and sister firefighters, as well as many of our partners that have been with us on this incident. We appreciate, again, your respect for his family and his service, and good night.